to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, I am responding to one of my Patreon requests for a video topic. So shouts out to my patron. I actually don't know whether or not you want me to say your name, so I'm gonna opt on the side of caution and not, but thank you so much for supporting me. Just to let you guys know, Patreon is a platform that creators use in order to fund their creations. If you are an independent creative, it can get really costly to create these things. And this is something that I would love to be able to do full time. So one of the tiers that I offer on my Patreon is that for a certain amount of money every month, you can choose a topic for me to discuss. So this patron wanted me to explain why it is that we need to support Black designers, especially right now during the pandemic, and how to go about doing that. So first of all, there are multitudes of resources for Black-owned beauty brands, Black-owned apparel and leather goods and all kinds of things. Like, there are databases that people have created over and over again. I keep seeing people on Twitter like, why don't we have a database of Black-owned businesses? And it's like, we do have them. Use Google. Use your network. They do exist. I'm going to list several of them in this episode description so that you can find whatever it is that you're looking for. There are a lot of independent Black creatives out there, and the real meat and potatoes of this video that I want to share with you guys, the reason why it's so important to support Black independent designers is because they do not have the financial backing that mainstream designers have. You know, you look at the heritage houses that we know, you know, your Gucci's, your Louis Vuittons, your Dior. Many of these people are owned by conglomerates. You know, Louis Vuitton is owned by the LVMH group. They own several different houses. I think that Rihanna's fashion house is under that umbrella. And it's kind of, if you look at it like independent music artists, if you're an independent music artist, you have more control, you have more ownership over your brand, over your music, over what you create, but you're funding everything yourself. You don't have the capital or the name that a big record label has to push you as far as you may want to go. Same concept when it comes to independent Black designers. A huge problem that I see with us as a community is that we don't have the faith in Black designers, especially when it comes to luxury, that we have in these established heritage houses. You know, there's all this talk right now about Birkin bags, and I just want to be really clear, just as an aside, Birkin is not a brand. Birkin is a style of Hermes bag. You have a Birkin and you have a Kelly. I'm not about to get into the differences in the historical whatevers, because that's not what this video is about, but that is a leather goods company that has been around for a really long time. They started out making equestrian leather goods, and you know, it evolved to what it is, but Paris is still considered the home of fashion design. We still look to European designers and European brands as the height of luxury. So when you have a Black designer who comes along and who isn't charging Fashion Nova prices, we're very quick to ask, well, why should I have to pay this much for your stuff? And I don't think that we understand what we're saying to those designers when we say that. If you're an independent designer, you are paying more for your materials than someone who can take advantage of like economies of scale, or you know, the lower amount that you pay for a bigger amount of material. They're making smaller collections, they're making smaller amounts of items, so they don't need as much, and they end up having to pay more, especially if they are constructing a quality garment, which a lot of Black designers are. there is a lot of craftsmanship, there's a lot of creativity, there's a lot of quality that goes into creating what they create, but we don't give them the same backing that we give brands who we know, because we just don't have confidence in them. That's why it's important for us to support them when and where we can. I'm going to be very honest with you. There are Black designers who I would love to support, but they are just out of my price range. And that's perfectly fine. If you can't afford to buy, there are some that are affordable, again, resources in the notes. But if you can't afford to purchase something from a Black designer, that's okay. Everything's not for everybody, but what you absolutely should not do is encourage them or question them about their pricing, because you don't go and question any of these European designers about their prices. No one's going into Prada and saying, like, why are you charging X amount for this? Because they're Prada and they have the brand recognition, they have the name recognition. So you'll gladly, you know, if you get a big check, you can't wait to go to Louis Vuitton and get however many bags. And you're not going to question what the price tag is, because you have faith in that brand's cachet, you have faith in their quality, because they've had time to build that up. Black people have by and large been excluded from most industries, especially if we're looking at, you know, being a top name. And of course, there have been Black designers historically who have had an impact, but the royal family was going to go to Dior before they were going to go, you know, to an independent Black designer to design a gown for the Queen. Just like we have been excluded from every other industry, fashion is no different. Fashion is not as progressive as people want to think that it is, which is something I think we're coming to see now. So we need to support those designers and put just as much faith in their brands as we do in these mainstream major brands. And I'm not saying that you can't buy luxury. I completely understand, you know, why you want to purchase those aspirational pieces. I did a whole podcast about it. I will link to it in this episode description as well. But it's just something that I want you to consider. If you have the money to spend, consider spending it with an independent Black designer where the quality is going to be just as good, if not better, and you are actually standing behind your community. I would love to see more actors and actresses and more stylists actually run to Black designers to create red carpet looks, instead of complaining about the fact that some of these mainstream designers refuse to dress Black and brown actresses and actors. A lot of them get turned down, and instead of begging from those people, go to your own. They could use the work, they could use the publicity. Why not? You know? So that's my answer to that question. We have to learn how to define luxury on our own terms, and we cannot continue to look at Europe as the only standard of what is good and what is worthy of the title of luxury, especially when we have so many talented Black designers who just don't get opportunities with these mainstream fashion houses. Sometimes they you know, require you to have a certain pedigree or a certain kind of education, and y'all know how this system works against us. We don't get the same opportunities. So I think it's important for us to start giving those opportunities to independent Black creatives where and when we can. So I hope that answers your question. I hope this helps. Drop down in the comments and let me know if you have any questions, and be sure to like and share and comment and subscribe and become a patron and choose a topic for me to discuss if you'd like. Bye.